The Vanishing at Maple Creek. A case still open on the morning of October 14, 2019, 43-year-old Sarah Whitfield left her home on Elm Street in Maple Creek, Ontario, for what should have been a routine 20-minute drive to her job at the regional library. She never arrived. Her car was found 3 days later, parked in a gravel lot off Highway 7, 7 kilometers from her home, with the engine cool and the doors locked. There was no sign of struggle. There was no note. There was no trace of Sarah Whitfield anywhere. That was 5 years ago. To this day, no one knows what happened to her. Maple Creek is a town of just over 4,000 people, nestled in the rolling farmland of southeastern Ontario. It is the kind of place where neighbors know each other's names, where the local diner serves the same breakfast special every Saturday, and where crime of this nature was virtually unknown. Detective Inspector Margaret Chen, who led the investigation for the Ontario Provincial Police, described the case in her initial statement as something that shattered the assumption of safety that this community had enjoyed for generations. Sarah Whitfield was a librarian. She had worked at the Maple Creek Regional Library for 11 years, becoming a beloved figure among patrons, particularly the elderly and the children who attended her weekly story hours. Described by colleagues as quiet, reliable, and unfailingly kind, she lived alone in a modest bungalow she had inherited from her mother. She had never married. She had no children. Her younger brother, David Whitfield, who lives in Toronto, described his sister as the kind of person who would stop her car to help a stranger change a tire, even in the rain. The morning of her disappearance began like any other. Surveillance footage from the Maple Creek hardware store, located 2 blocks from her home, shows Sarah entering at 8:47 a.m. She purchased a pack of AA batteries and a bottle of window cleaner. She paid in cash. She smiled at the cashier, a teenager named Ryan Peters, and wished him a good day. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Sarah Whitfield alive. She should have been at work by 9:30. When she did not arrive, her colleague, head librarian Helen Markham, called her cell phone. It rang but went to voicemail. Helen assumed Sarah had overslept or perhaps stopped for coffee. It was not until 2 p.m., when Sarah had not responded to any messages, that Helen called the police. The investigation began that afternoon. Officers canvassed the neighborhood, speaking to neighbors on Elm Street. Most had not seen Sarah that morning. 71-year-old retiree Harold Fitch recalled hearing a car pull away from the Whitfield bungalow at approximately 8:35 a.m. He could not identify the make or model, but he noted it sounded unusually loud, suggesting a problem with the muffler. Sarah's car, a navy blue 2016 Honda Civic, was located on Wednesday, October 16, by a conservation officer conducting a routine patrol of rural properties along Highway 7. The car was parked in a lot adjacent to an abandoned grain elevator, a structure that has stood empty since the Maple Creek Farmers Cooperative closed in 2008. The lot is rarely used. It is not visible from the highway. The officer initially thought the car had been abandoned, perhaps by teenagers, and ran the license plate out of routine. When the registration came back to Sarah Whitfield, he called the detective unit. Forensic analysts spent 12 hours examining the vehicle. They found Sarah's purse on the passenger seat, containing her wallet, identification, and a half-finished list of library books to be audited. Her phone was not in the car. Her lunch, a turkey sandwich wrapped in wax paper, sat untouched in a brown paper bag on the back seat. There were no fingerprints other than Sarah's own. There were no fibers, no hairs, no traces of blood or tissue. The car had been cleaned, deliberately and thoroughly, with a product that left no residue detectable by standard forensic testing. This was the first indication that whoever took Sarah Whitfield knew what they were doing. Detective Inspector Chen assembled a team of 12 investigators. They interviewed every person in Sarah's life: her colleagues at the library, her neighbors, her brother, her former classmates from the community college, where she had taken a night course in accounting 3 years prior. They found no enemies, no grudges, no romantic relationships that had ended badly. Sarah Whitfield, by all accounts, was a woman who had no enemies. Her brother, David, told investigators that Sarah had mentioned nothing unusual in their last conversation, a phone call on October 12, 2 days before her disappearance. They had talked about their mother's upcoming birthday and whether David would visit for Thanksgiving. She had seemed happy, he said. She had been planning to plant tulip bulbs in her garden the following weekend. The investigation took several turns over the following months. In December 2019, detectives received a tip from a woman in neighboring Hastings County who claimed to have seen a woman matching Sarah's description getting into a dark-colored pickup truck outside the Maple Creek post office on the morning of October 14. The woman, who asked to remain anonymous, said she had thought nothing of it at the time. She came forward only after seeing Sarah's photograph on the news. Detectives pursued the lead but could not locate the truck or verify the account. In March 2020, forensic accountants were brought in to examine Sarah's financial records. They found nothing unusual. Her bank account showed regular deposits and withdrawals. She had no debts. She had not taken out any loans or lines of credit in recent months. There was no sign of financial distress, no evidence of gambling, no indication of any financial motive for her disappearance. The case went cold in the summer of 2020. Detective Inspector Chen was reassigned to another division. The file was passed to the Ontario Provincial Police's Missing Persons Unit, where it remains today, one of approximately 300 active missing persons cases in the province. But the investigation did not entirely stop. In 2022, advances in DNA technology allowed analysts to re-examine evidence from Sarah's car. They found a single strand of hair caught in the door handle of the rear passenger door. The hair did not match Sarah Whitfield. It belonged to someone else, a person whose DNA profile has been entered into national databases. There is no match. The person has not been identified. This is the only physical evidence linking Sarah Whitfield's disappearance to another individual. It is not enough. Detectives have declined to speculate on who the hair might belong to or what it might mean. David Whitfield still visits Maple Creek every year on October 14. He places a bouquet of white tulips on the doorstep of his sister's empty bungalow, which remains unsold, locked and boarded, the garden overgrown. He has not given up hope. He still checks the missing persons website every morning. He still answers his phone every time a journalist calls. The people of Maple Creek have not forgotten Sarah Whitfield either. There is a memorial bench outside the library, inscribed with her name and a single line. She lit up every room she entered. The bench is covered in flowers every week, even now, 5 years later. The librarians have kept her desk exactly as she left it. A mug with 3 pens, a photograph of her mother, a small ceramic cat that a child gave her many years ago. What happened to Sarah Whitfield on that October morning in 2019? Where did she go? Who was the stranger who may have been waiting for her, if indeed someone was waiting? And why, after 5 years, has there been no word, no demand for ransom, no confession, no body? These questions remain unanswered. The single strand of hair found in Sarah Whitfield's car has never been matched to any known individual. The dark-colored pickup truck has never been located. The woman who claimed to see something that morning has never come forward again. Detective Inspector Chen, now retired, declined to be interviewed for this documentary. When asked why she took the case personally, she said only this: "There are some investigations that stay with you. This is one of them. I think about Sarah Whitfield every time I drive past a library. The Whitfield bungalow on Elm Street has not been sold. The garden where Sarah planned to plant tulip bulbs remains untended. Every autumn, the leaves fall on the property and no one clears them away. The neighbors say they cannot bear to look at it. They say it feels like a house that is still waiting for someone to come home." Sarah Whitfield was 43 years old when she vanished. She was 5 feet 6 inches tall, with brown hair and hazel eyes. She was last seen wearing a green corduroy jacket, dark jeans, and brown leather boots. She was carrying a purse with a brass clasp in the shape of a cat. If you have any information about the disappearance of Sarah Whitfield, please contact the Ontario Provincial Police Missing Persons Unit or Crime Stoppers. Someone, somewhere, knows what happened that morning. Someone, somewhere, has kept a secret for 5 years. The question is, will they ever tell?